Okay, so we are doing a seminar on chanting, reading and service, striking a balance. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharina Nirvishesh Shunavadi Vaishanteshtarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So why this seminar? Chanting, reading and service. We all know what is chanting, we all know what is reading, and we all know what is service. At least I assume you know. But how to balance them? That's the question. So we all are devotees, we are chanting. Sometimes we chant, sometimes we read. Sometimes in the process of doing service, we forget reading. Sometimes in the process of chanting, we don't do service. It's difficult to balance things. So how to balance these three things? Because chanting, reading and service are the foundation of our Krishna consciousness. And I'll talk about this now as we go along. Now here is a point. If it goes ahead, I don't know. Somebody has to sit on the back. I think you have to sit there, and when I say next slide, just do it. So well, what is chanting? We all know chanting means Hare Krishna mantra. We are chanting 16 rounds daily. And then, of course, reading, we read Srila Prabhupada books. And service, yeah, of course, there are so many services. Book distribution, making garlands, deity worship, isn't it? Prasadam, there are so many services. So this is Srila Prabhupada has often said in his books, all the three are important. In many of his books, he emphasized chanting. Isn't it chanting? From ISKCON, you can remove everything except chanting. If you remove temples, ISKCON can survive. If you remove prasadam, yeah, still it can survive. Many devotees will go back, but it can survive. If you remove books, still it can survive. But if you remove holy names, ISKCON is finished. Because that's the essence of our movement, chanting of holy names of Krishna. Simple. So Prabhupada has emphasized on chanting. Prabhupada has also emphasized on reading. I'll show that. I'll show you the quotations from Prabhupada books. Prabhupada often said, without reading, your chanting has no value. Why it is, I'll talk about that. And Prabhupada has also emphasized service, because Prabhupada says good chanting will lead to more service. When you chant nicely, you will feel enthusiastic to serve, isn't it? So Prabhupada, if you read all the works of Prabhupada, he has emphasized on all three things equally. Chanting, service and reading. Of course, we know chanting is also one service to Krishna, but here we put chanting separately and reading separately. And service here means, by service I mean practical physical service. That's what I mean here. So Prabhupada has emphasized on all the three things. That is why Bhaktivedanta said this, Krishna Nam, Krishna Kam and Krishna Dham. Bhaktivedanta made this aphorism, this sutra. Krishna Kam, Krishna Nam and Krishna Dham. You can see from here. Little funny, but yeah. So he said these three things is a life of devotees. Krishna consciousness is a package. You remove any component, it doesn't move. Just like a vehicle. In a vehicle, all components are equally important. Tire is also important. Steering is also important. Engine is also important. Now you tell me what is the most important part? All of them. You can't really say what is most important. So that's why Krishna consciousness, what is most important? Chanting, reading, service, all are important. Otherwise, your devotion doesn't move. It doesn't move. Now, why all these are important? How all these limbs, chanting, reading, service, they are actually interdependent on each other. How is that? That is what I'm going to talk today. That's the purpose of the talk. Without reading, if you only chant and serve, we will not attain love of God. Love of God is the aim of life, isn't it? And if we only do service and not chant and read, then again there is a problem. You don't attain love of Krishna. So you see the point? That's why this triangle I have made. They are all interdependent. And that's why this sutra, Krishna Kam means service, Krishna Nam means chanting, Krishna Dham means reading books. Dham means holy place, isn't it? Holy place. So in holy place, what do? Holy place you go, and the function of holy place is to associate with saints there. If you go to a holy place and if you don't associate with saints, it's useless. If you come to temple, which is also a holy place, and if you don't associate with saints, it's useless. It's a building. Bhakti Santa said, I will break down all the temples if there is no discussion of Harikatha. He said that. Christ also said that, no? He said, in 3 days I'll destroy the whole Jerusalem and build it new. Because of that he was crucified, by the way. Because he said, what you are doing, all of you, in the Jerusalem? Is sitting, eating and sleeping. Where is discussions of God? So you see the point. In Dham, you discuss about Krishna. And you will only discuss about Krishna when you are reading something. If you are not reading, then what we will discuss? Because there is nothing in our head. Then you know what happens in temples. If people are not reading, then politics and this and that, there are problems. So remember this. So we are going to talk today about these three things. Now what I'm going to talk today is, now these are three things, isn't it? How they're interdependent on each other. So I'll take two things at a time. First, maybe reading and service, then service and chanting, and then chanting and reading. And how they're linked to each other. Do you understand? That's what I'm going to do today. And maybe we'll discuss something. We'll ask questions. Next slide. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about reading and service first. So we should maintain balance between reading and service. Now Srila Prabhupada has written this letter to Governing Body Commission. This is, why can't we see this properly? We have to close this light or what? Yeah, it's so. In scriptures it is said, never see a foggy image. Your life will reduce. So, yeah, now I think it's a little better, isn't it? Yeah, okay. क्या करना है? Okay, yeah. So this is a letter to Governing Body Commission. You see this? And this letter is 1976. Prabhupada writes to GBC. Do you all know what's GBC? You all know, no? Yes, no. You know or don't know? Okay, yes and no, because where is GBC? Nobody knows, but there is a GBC. Yeah. So GBC means Governing Body Commission, means management of ISKCON, top management of ISKCON. That's GBC. So many leaders and many sannyasis are there in that. Prabhupada writes the letter. Now it's good. Prabhupada writes a letter. The problem is that not all devotees are carefully studying the books. The result being a fall down or at least unsteadiness. So, the point is, Prabhupada saw in 1976, almost in the end of the moment, that devotees are not reading books. And what's the result? Result is they'll fall down. Prabhupada has mentioned so many times. 1972 there is a letter to Hamsadut Prabhu. 1974 there is a letter. Prabhupada says if devotees don't read, they'll simply become lazy. They will eat, become lazy, sleep and fall down. So you know what, the main thing is, next slide. Prabhupada also speaks about reading again in one of his letters. I think you have to press again. Press again. You have to again. Okay. Prabhupada says in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto 9 chapter 3rd verse. This is actually a lecture, 1972. Prabhupada says, of all these books, we have got so many books. Simply if we make arrangement for selling and not for understanding, then it will be simply materialistic. Both things must go on. Now Prabhupada mentions that. If you simply do book distribution, that's very nice, we have to do, but if we don't understand it, then we become a salesman and not a devotee. Prabhupada says it's a materialistic endeavor. Both things should go on. So you see, the point I'm raising is reading and service. What's the balance? Most 99% devotees, everybody is doing service. But when it comes to reading, no. I am traveling all over the world. No, I'm not talking about America. It's Canada, it's UK, it's Europe, it's India, everywhere. Nobody is reading. There are many reasons for that. One reason is no time, because you are doing services, so no reading. But there's a problem. Tamal Krish Maharaj, he once went to Prabhupada and Prabhupada asked, are you reading? Tamal Krish Maharaj, he was in management, no? He was a manager. He was like a right hand of Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, are you reading? Tamal Krish Maharaj says, Prabhupada, I don't have time. So Prabhupada says, then don't eat. Then he says, Prabhupada, I am already eating once a day. Then Prabhupada says, sleep less, but read. Then he says, Tamal Krish Maharaj, Prabhupada, I am already sleeping 3 hours. Prabhupada says, then don't sleep. Prabhupada knew the importance of reading. So what is the importance of reading? That it has to be coupled with service. You can't take excuse of service and then not read. At the same time, you can't avoid services. Services has to be done. But you have to take out time, you have to balance. How to balance, I'll tell later. That's the next question, how to balance. But the question here is, what's the link between reading and service? What's the link? If you only serve, there is a problem. If you only read, there is a problem. We should do both. Got the point? Next slide. I think you might have to press twice. If it doesn't go, you just have a look. Okay. So only service and no or less reading. Suppose if you're doing only service and you're not reading, or you're doing less service, or you're reading less, maybe in quantity, or maybe you are reading but you're not really focusing on reading. There's a difference, isn't it? Okay, chalo, you're doing service and just for formality's sake, okay, 2 shlok hum roz padhte hain. Many devotees say like that, no? When I ask, okay, you read? Yeah, Prabhu, we read 2 shlokas daily. But that's not reading, basically. Reading means you are actually diving into that subject. You are reading and then you are contemplating, isn't it? That's reading. You are thinking about that subject. It's not just a formality that 2 shlokas we read, chalo, bhi ho gaya. Or maybe in America there's a system. It's not bad, but there's a downside of it. I mean to say, people have conference call and they read. Okay, 4 or 5 devotees, and then one person read one paragraph, the next paragraph, the next paragraph, the next paragraph, chalo ho gaya. We have read Bhagavad Gita. No. That's okay for new devotees, but not for devotees who have spent time in the movement. You see, for new people it's good. At least they are giving it a read. But for devotees who have spent 4, 5, 6, 7 years, no, that's not a good system. That's not reading. That is, let me say, that is what do we say? What is that? So what do these computer programs do when they read? What's that? Reading? No. When there's a paragraph and computer reads that. No, there's a program, no, which reads.
Read loud.
Read loud. Read loud. If you press that function, read loud, then it will start reading. That doesn't work. Reading means Shravanam Mananam. You hear, and when you read, you do Mananam. Swadhyaya is Mananam. Reading in Sanskrit, it is called Swadhyaya. Isn't it? Swadhyaya. Swa means own. Dhyaya means to meditate. So when you reading means you are alone with the subject and then you are meditating on it. That's reading. So you see the point. So no or less reading means either you are not reading because of an excuse, Prabhuji, I have this service, I have that service, I'm so busy, job, this. Or you are reading less. Less reading means either quantity is less, Prabhu, I am reading 10 minutes. Or you are reading for a formality sake. Read aloud type. So what happens? What's the harm? What will happen? Okay, what will happen? I think most of you are in this position, isn't it? It happens off and on. Sometimes you read, but like for a month, no reading, blank. Then you suddenly realize, oh my God. So it happens. So what's the future? Will we attain love of God? Of course no. Then what will happen to us? What's the future? What will happen? Can anybody guess? If you simply do service, if you don't read, if you don't focus on reading, if you don't read as reading, what's going to happen? What's the result?
You lose taste.
You lose?
Taste in the process.
Okay, that's one thing, yeah. You lose taste, yeah. Fall down is a big term. Anyway, fall down is answer for all slides here. But how you fall down, that's the question. Yeah, Prabhu, can you press?
Knowledge.
Okay, yeah. Okay, fine.
Knowledge.
No. If you only do service and no reading, the first thing is your service will become mechanical and materialistic. Your service will become very mechanical. You will be doing service, but it will become like machine. It will like no enthusiasm, isn't it? Sometimes it will happen like that. Okay, we are doing. Chalo karna hai. Or it will become materialistic. Materialistic in the sense, your service will not reach Krishna. Because your attitude will not be proper. Reading gives what? Attitude, isn't it? Reading gives you attitude to do. Reading gives you knowledge. By knowledge you know. You know why you are doing what you are doing, isn't it? Service means what you are doing. Suppose you are making garlands, okay, that is service. But if you don't read, then you don't know why you are making garland for Krishna. So that attitude, that logic, that reason, that reading provides. And Prabhupada says in Nectar of Instruction, attitude is a key to advancement in devotion. You have to know this? Attitude is a key. So what's the difference between Prabhupada and us? Prabhupada is chanting 16 notes, we are chanting. What's the difference? His attitude is proper. Our attitude is not proper. It's mixed with our desires, with our something problems there, isn't it? Because we don't have knowledge. So your service will become mechanical or materialistic. Just like I just quoted, Prabhupada says, if you do book distribution and don't read books, your book distribution will become materialistic endeavor. Simply a salesman type. And that's why I wrote, either if you don't read, either you will become a salesman or you will become a worker. So if you simply do, see for new people, it's okay. A person who is just coming to temple, he might not be reading. Of course, we don't expect him to read. If he is doing some sweeping in the temple, washing pots, Krishna will give mercy. No problem. He's new. But if you are 3, 4, 5 years and you're not reading and you simply keep on doing something, then Krishna will say, what's happening? Because your attitude is not proper. Without knowledge, you can't have proper attitude. You don't know, you have many doubts in the mind, it's not solved, and there's so many other things. So, Bhaktisiddhanta used to say, I'm not here to make carpenters and sweepers. I'm here to make devotees. And we know this, isn't it? Many temples, there are many devotees who are doing services, who don't read, isn't it? Who don't exactly read, no interest in reading, and they are paid, and their whole attitude is very different. So then, what's the point of their service, isn't it? So only service and not reading, this is a problem. And only reading and no service. Some people only read, reading, no service. And if you ask them, Prabhu, you are not serving, you know what's their answer? Prabhu, nobody is giving. So what should I do? I just attend program, go and read, program, go, but nobody is giving service. That's crazy. Services will not come to you. You have to go to service. Krishna doesn't come to you. You have to go to Krishna. Isn't it? So, if you only read and you don't do service, or you do less service, thoda bahut chalo ho gaya. If you don't really balance on both, then devotees become egoistic. They think, I'm a scholar. You see the point? I know so much. Because without service, you don't get humbleness. And without humbleness, if you get knowledge, that's very dangerous. That is why in scriptures it is said, knowledge without humbleness is dangerous. It is said in scriptures. Knowledge without humbleness is dangerous. Knowledge is a good thing, but without humbleness is a worst thing. It can destroy you. In fact, in Bhavishya Purana or Vishnu Purana, it comes that this Kali goes to God, and he asks God that this is my age, Kali Yuga, and I want to destroy people, isn't it? So how should I do? I want your help. So you know what Vishnu says? You guess what is his answer? I told you.
No need to destroy, it's already.
Okay, one thing is this. Vishnu first he says, well, you don't need to do anything, they'll destroy themselves. But then Kali says, how? So Vishnu says, you do one thing. If you want to destroy humanity, give them knowledge. And Kali says, what is this? I was planning to hide knowledge and keeping them ignorant. Vishnu says, no, you give them knowledge. And they will have so much knowledge that they will not be able to handle it. And they will destroy each other using that knowledge. And that's what happened, isn't it? The more knowledge, the more technology, the more people are becoming, the more nuclear wars, nuclear bombs, the more dangerous it has become, isn't it? When people are destroying each other. So they'll be more confused. The more the knowledge, and people are not so smart, so much knowledge, nobody can handle anything. They're becoming so confused what to do, what not to do. And what is happening is, that's what knowledge without humbleness makes you proud. So everybody thinks, I know so much. I know so much. I know so much. I know so much. They take nobody's advice and then destroy each other. So that was his plan. Give them knowledge. So that's what happens. If you read and if we don't do service, we become egoistic and we become doubtful. Reading without service creates doubt. And you have seen some devotees, they ask so many questions. You saw that? Some devotees, question. That's not bad. I don't say asking questions are bad. But they ask questions. And the infinite questions. But sometimes answers come. You should have patience to have answers. You can't get answers immediately to all questions, isn't it? Sometimes we are not ready for those answers. Sometimes answers come not just by reading, but by service. Some answers cannot come from reading. Like for example, let me ask you one question. How many of you know that we are not this body and we are soul? Okay. Fine. You know what I would like to say? You know and do not know. It's both, isn't it? Everybody knows theoretically that you are not this body or soul, but practically, realized level, how many of you know, how many of you realize that you are soul and not the body? Nobody, isn't it? So you know and not know. So this kind of knowledge of this realization, that will not come by reading. No matter how much you read, you will never realize that you are not this body or soul. That realization will come by what? By service. That is why service is necessary along with reading. What service does is, service makes knowledge into realization. That's the role of service. That's why service and reading should go together. Reading gives you knowledge. Service will make that knowledge into realization. Okay. And the more service you do, the more interest you will have in reading, isn't it? So that's how it goes. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. Service matures knowledge of reading into realization, and reading gives enthusiasm to serve. It goes both ways. If you omit anything, system crashes. So that's why reading and service should go together. Is it clear?
Can you take one example and take this, I am not this body, I am soul. How does one read? What do you, like your own journey, what did you read? Where did
No. That's a different question. Yeah, okay, fine. And then I'll take this question in the end, because I'll just go somewhere else in the between.
It is abstract. I don't follow abstract.
No, abstract what? In Bhagavad Gita you read, you are not the soul, you are not the body or soul. That's all.
But how to?
But then we don't realize it.
So how to?
So how to realize? By doing service, by doing menial service. So we come to temple, we sweep the floor, we wash pots, or whatever service is required, book distribution, some physical service is required.
My question is, so we read, then we come to temple, do service. So if you can, now or later, if you can take an example and say, here is how, what I read.
Okay, fine.
As I read service, this is how I realized.
Yeah. So simple example is, we all know holy names of Krishna and Krishna is one. We read. But then when you do service, then what happens? By doing service, you develop service attitude. And when you chant with service attitude, Krishna, I am your servant. You develop that attitude by serving, isn't it? When you chant with this attitude, Krishna, I am your servant, then slowly from that holy names, qualities appear when you're chanting. And then form, and then pastimes, and then Krishna appears in your soul. And then you see, yes, Krishna and holy name is one. That's what happens with service. Because if we don't do service and we simply chant, for example, then we are chanting not with a service attitude, then we are simply chanting like a yogi, concentration. I'll talk about that, chanting and service. Then we don't realize chanting. We don't realize chanting and Krishna is one. That's some example. So is it clear? Chanting and reading? Service and reading, both has to be done. So please don't give excuse that there's no time for reading and I'm doing service. You are in a problem. Your service will not reach Krishna. It might become mechanical, materialistic. There's a big problem. Next slide. Now let's talk about, wait. Now let's talk about chanting and service. Now here's the problem. Many devotees also skip chanting because of services. So only service, no or less chanting. Or sometimes, we are so engaged in service that we don't chant properly. Less chanting means that also, less quality of chanting. It happens, no? All of us. First you go to job, then you do some service, then somehow you are finishing your 16 rounds. That's also less chanting. Less quality in chanting. So what happens slowly? If you only do service and if you don't focus on your chanting, good chanting, then there can be big problems. And what's the problem? Can you just press? So the problem is, we devotees become sentimental. They become sentimental. Without proper chanting, if we do service, we will become sentimental. By sentimental, I mean, if we don't chant properly, we will not have good realizations. And if we don't have good realizations and we simply do service, then it's more of your feelings and emotions. It's not coming from a mature spiritual platform. Isn't it? So like many Indians come to temple. Some, flowers, food, this and this. But it is very superficial and feeling level, isn't it? It's not coming from a spiritual platform, a mature understanding. He's not doing with a mature understanding. So by chanting, that mature understanding comes. Or if person is doing only service and if he is doing less chanting and very poor quality of chanting, then what happens? Slowly the devotee becomes offensive. Why? Because we have heard that all the offenses in any of the service can only be counteracted by chanting. That's the rule. Any service you do, there will be mistakes. Nobody is perfect. And there will be some kind of offenses. So how do you counteract that? Chanting is the only way. There is no other way. That is why it is said, anything you do in devotion, deity worship, cleaning, cooking, it has to be combined with chanting. Otherwise, you do so many mistakes, so many offenses, and instead of pleasing Krishna, you end up displeasing him. So if you go to South India, you see South India, if you go, South India, people do deity worship, Aarti, and if there is a mistake, then you know what Pujari does? Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. You have seen this? Like this. So just by chanting the holy names, his mistake is pardoned. So without chanting, if you don't focus on chanting properly, and if you do keep on doing service, your service will become offensive and displeasing to Krishna after some time. Then what's the point of doing service? So please balance both chanting and service. You have to balance them both properly. So don't, in the name of service, don't reduce the quality of your chanting. No, that will not go. How to balance, I'll tell after some time. How to do that, I'll tell you the trick. But that's the point. Are you clear, all of you? It happens with all of us, isn't it? We are chanting, we are completing, no quality, nothing. And after some time, it becomes really displeasing. Yeah, next slide, please. And if you only chant and less serve, then either you become, if you only chant and if you don't do service, there are some devotees like that also, and then chanting, no service, or very less service. Then what happens? Then you are not the devotee or yogi or jnani. You are out of devotion. Because only chanting, yogis chant, isn't it? If you go to Rishikesh, there is a sect, Shivanand. You know Shivanand? Himalayan society. If you go in their ashram, they also chant Hare Krishna. They chant Hare Krishna 24 hours. That their sect says. But they don't do service. Why? Why? Because they are yogis. Yogis are interested in chanting. But they are not interested in service. So if we simply chant and don't focus on service, then either we become yogi and jnani, we are out of devotion, or that kind of chanting will not lead to love of God. It's not possible. It can give you some kind of pious credits, but no love of God. So that's the problem. That is why chanting and service should be combined together. Chanting helps to remove offenses in service. Isn't it? Good chanting. And good service, what it does? Good service helps us to bring service attitude to chant properly. That's a link between both. You understand the point? Okay, next slide. Yeah. So, what about reading and chanting? Oh, this is also like that. Most of us chant and do service, but reading, Now here by reading, I mean reading. I don't also mean listening to lectures. Don't confuse that. Listening lectures is different and reading is different. And so we were talking in the car. So what's the difference between listening lecture and reading? What's the difference? Can anybody tell?
When you are reading, you are contemplating.
Okay. And when you are listening?
Subject matter. When you are listening, you are just.
Yeah. When we are listening, we are just downloading the information. That's all. But we are not contemplating because the speaker is speaking. Just like you are now listening. You don't have a time to contemplate. But when you're reading, you're contemplating. You see the point? There's a difference. So no matter how much you listen, you have to devote some time for reading. You can't avoid reading. No excuse in this world can avoid reading. Prabhu, I am listening. No. Still you have to read. And Prabhupada says in his books, minimum 1 hour we should read. But of course 1 hour is a big time. You will not get time. Okay, half an hour. You can start with half an hour. Now how to do that, I'll tell you how to do that. Because still you will tell, I'll go on get time, this and this, but there's a system. Okay, if you only chant and if you don't focus on reading and less, next slide. If you only chant and if you read less or don't read, then what will happen is you will have no taste for chanting. Taste for chanting comes from reading. Isn't it? If you're chanting Krishna's name and if you're not reading, slowly your chanting will become frustrating. It happens, no? We chant, our mind goes here and there. Or everybody asks us, Prabhu, I'm chanting, I can't control my mind. What to do? Then the usual answer is chant properly. Okay, so next time you come, Prabhu, I am chanting properly, still mind is going. Then the answer is, be sincere. Then you come after 1 week, Prabhu, I am sincere. Still my mind is going here and there. What to do? Then they say, get lost. Don't come to temple. Don't eat my brain. So that's not the solution. Solution is why your mind is going, revolving and going here and there and out of control, because there's a problem in reading. Because you are not reading. And if you see your life, you will find that. Reading helps us to fix our mind in chanting. If we don't read, our mind will not be fixed. And Prabhupada says in one of his letters, Prabhupada says if you don't read about Krishna, then when you chant, you will not remember about Krishna, isn't it? What you read, that you will remember. If you read about Krishna daily, suppose, half an hour, about his pastimes of Govardhan, his Putna, and then when you chant, you will remember all those things naturally, isn't it? It's natural, it's not something mystical. Am I right or not? So reading is must with chanting. That is why it is said, reading, Shravanam, क्या करते हैं? Chanting की पुष्टि करता है, पुष्टि. Reading nourishes chanting. It is said in Sanskrit, reading nourishes chanting. Without reading, your chanting will be dry. You will be just struggling with your mind. And if you want to fix your mind on chanting, read. There is no other way. You can't force your way. You can't force. You can't say, okay, now I will chant properly. Hare Krishna. Nothing will happen. You can't do that. You can't even hold your mind. You can't say, from now I'll teach mind a lesson. And Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. No matter what you do, it's impossible. Am I right? You will simply become tired. Is it? And then go to sleep after some time. Because you become tired. Without reading, chanting will be a fight and a struggle. It will not be love. Isn't it? We are not here to fight always with mind. That's not devotion. Devotion is not just fighting with your mind, isn't it? That's a preparation to go back to Krishna. But devotion is about love. That will never happen if you don't read. That's why Prabhupada says, it is my advice, it is my order to everybody that every of my devotees should read 1 hour daily. He said it is his order. And if you don't do that, then what happens? Then we are doing Guru Ravagya. What is Guru Ravagya? You know that, no?
Disobey the orders of
Yeah.
spiritual life.
Third offense. Disobey the orders of spiritual. Actually, you know what I was thinking in ISKCON? When you take initiation, you should add fifth vow. Then that will be very nice. Okay, no illicit sex, no meditating, no intoxication, no gambling. I'll chant at least 16 rounds and I'll read 1 hour daily. Then everybody will read. I think that system is good. Without doing that, nobody is going to read. It's so difficult. But okay, yeah, I'll talk about this in a moment. So you see the point. You have no enthusiasm to chant if you don't read properly, and your chanting will be a fight. That's all. So if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, have you read Chaitanya Charitamrita? Anybody of you here?
Some of it.
Some of it. Anybody else? Have you read or not? I don't know about Hari Vilas Prabhu. I don't know morning class. Have you read? Read means read, not listen. Not listen. I have told you, not listen. No classes. Read or not. And there's a problem. And that's why we can't fix our mind. If you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, your mind will automatically go towards Krishna. That book is designed like that. That book is designed to make your mind fix on Krishna. Just like a medicine is designed to treat your disease, isn't it? That book is designed. That is why Chaitanya Charitamrita is Prabhupada says it's PhD, isn't it? It is designed like that. Please read that book. So read those books, yeah.
So Prabhuji, if the class is going on and if we follow it along and read in the book, that's not considered reading. Reading means self.
I just told you, reading. I just told you this game. Reading means reading yourself and contemplating. Self, swadhyay. Swadhyay means self. Swa means self. Dhyay means meditate. You are doing self. You are introspecting within yourself. There's nobody there. And that's reading. You and your book and Krishna. There are 3 people, that's all. And that's reading. So that's important. So anyway, even if you can't read for 1 hour, no problem. Do half an hour, do 15 minutes, but do something, spend some time. I'll talk about it, okay. So, yeah, next slide. And if you only read and not chant and don't chant properly, you know some devotees have a habit not to read, not to listen, but to collect books. Isn't it? Many devotees simply collecting books. But you know what? There is a saying by Buddha, Siddhartha. Buddha said, don't follow the way, become the way. That's to the point. Don't follow the way, become the way. Don't collect books. Don't read books, become the books. Bhagavat and Bhagavat. You have heard this term? Bhagavat is Bhagavatam. A person who follows all the instructions of Bhagavatam as it is, he is called? You don't know this? Yeah, he's called Bhagavat. Yeah, Bhagavat and Bhagavat, isn't it? So we don't have to read books, by the way. We have to live them. Otherwise, it is useless for us if we don't live them. And that is where Chaitanya oh yeah, I remember. There was one devotee in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Leela and his name was Devanand Pandit. You know that? Devanand Pandit. Now this devotee, he was a very good Bhagavatam reciter, professional reciter. He used to give on one word of Bhagavatam, he used to spend 3 months. And I've seen such kind of people, even they exist now. They can speak one word on Bhagavatam 3 minutes. I've heard from them and it's nice to hear that depth that book has. But then, so in his class, Srivas Thakur, he comes. Mahaprabhu associate, Srivas Thakur, big devotee, he was coming and listening. And he started weeping, listening to Bhagavat. And this Devanand Pandit, he was such a scholar. He used to read Bhagavatam, but he didn't used to chant. He was not chanting, only reading. He was a scholar. So he saw Srivas Thakur and he said, "Oh, you are weeping, he is disturbing the class." He asked his disciples to throw him out. They took him and threw him out. And Srivas Thakur is a devotee, we know. He's a Parshad he's associate of Mahaprabhu. And this happened even when Mahaprabhu was not born, before his birth. So when Mahaprabhu came, he appeared, and when he became young, then they were having kirtans. Mahaprabhu was there, Srivas Thakur was there. They were doing kirtans, and they were going from the same road where Devanand Pandit house is there. And what do you know what Mahaprabhu does? When Mahaprabhu is passing and he sees Devanand Pandit, he remembers that he did to my devotee. He said, "Stop the holy name, stop chanting. I will not allow this useless person to even hear the holy names." And then he goes ahead. And then he goes like 500 meters ahead. And then he says, "Okay, now do kirtan." But then he says, "No, stop." He says, "Go and bring his Bhagavatam." So somebody goes and then they just snatch his Bhagavatam, come, and Mahaprabhu takes Bhagavatam and tears it and throws it in Ganges. He says, "This is nonsense. His book is a garbage." So, what do you say? Can you tear Bhagavatam? What is Bhagavatam? It's Krishna himself, no? We know that. But Bhagavatam is Krishna, not some words printed on paper. That is not Krishna. Bhagavatam is Krishna. Bhagavatam in the sense, if you are reading that book and applying in your life, then that book has a value for you. Otherwise, for you, it's of zero value. You got that point? So we have to live and relive Bhagavatam. Then there's a value for us. So that's, if you only read and not chant and chant less, what's going to happen? Yeah, next slide. What's going to happen is we will have no realizations at all. Zero realizations. And next. And can you press? Okay. So, you understand? So chanting, reading and service, they are all interlinked. You see the point there? You can probably revisit the seminar. It's recorded. But you see, all are interlinked. Chanting helps to actually mature the knowledge to realization in reading. Whatever you read, whatever knowledge you get by reading, that is converted into realization by chanting. And chanting will give enthusiasm to do service. Otherwise, you will not be able to do service. And reading will give you, when you do service, reading will, what will reading do? Reading will give you the logic why you have to do that service. Otherwise, you will not understand what you are doing, why you are doing, isn't it? And if you read properly, it will give you proper attitude to chant. It will solve doubts in your mind so that you can chant properly. You see, it's all linked, all linked. That is why I said it's a package. It's a package. Otherwise, it will not work. You remove anything, this is not going to work. You will not get love of God. So इसलिए कहा जाता है, हिंदी में कहते हैं कि जम के चैंटिंग करो, जम के रीडिंग करो, जम के सर्विस करो. पता नहीं इंग्लिश में, how do you say in English? जम के. I don't know in English how do you say? How do you say in English? Is there any proper word for that? I don't know. Everybody, they're South Indians here. Everybody got it? No, somebody didn't get it. So it is said, do chanting with full enthusiasm, read with full enthusiasm, and do service with full enthusiasm. You can't compromise with any of these. But the question is, where is time? How to balance that, isn't it? That's the central question. That's the question we are talking about. I've just proved to you that they are linked. But how to do that? So how to know my balance is just right enough? How to balance? That's very important. But before that question is, if you try to balance all these three things, chanting, reading and service, okay, fine. You might be thinking, fine, okay, I'm chanting, I'm reading and I'm doing service, everything is going on nicely, isn't it? Suppose you're chanting daily, You are reading and you're doing service. And you think, okay, I'm doing all these three, I heard in seminar and everything is nice. But how do you know your balance is proper? You got the point? How do you know you are doing in a proper amount all these three things? How do you know that? Can you do the next slide? Wait. How do you know? If you are balanced in all these three things, then you will get mercy of Krishna, isn't it? Am I right or not? If you're balanced. So in Ayurveda you have Kapha, Pitta and Vata. You know this? If all the three are balanced, you are healthy. Similarly, if your service, chanting and reading are all balanced, if you are doing in right quantity daily, then you get mercy of Lord. But then, what is mercy of? Oh, I didn't ask you to press. But then what is mercy? Oh no, anyway. No, anyway, wait a minute. What is mercy of Lord? You know what is mercy of Lord? The mercy of Lord comes in the form of lust, anger and greed. Now you think they are enemies? No, they are not enemies. They are our friends. But we think they are our enemies. That's a problem. You see, this is illusion. You are in world of illusion. No matter how much you think you are clear, you will end up being confused by illusion. Maya is tricky. No matter if you think, I am absolutely clear now. I have done VIHE, MIHE, Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Sarvabhaum. And now you ask any question, it's absolutely clear. And Maya can confuse you like this. So lust, anger, greed, they are our friends. You know how they are our friends? Can anybody tell? Actually, they are mercy of God. How? You might have heard they are enemies, isn't it? That's also true. But the real truth is they are our friends. Yeah, how?
So if we can use them in service of Lord, then they become our friend. We can be greedy for doing service.
Okay, that's one thing. Without that also they are our friends.
Because they can tell us where we are within our
Okay, that's one thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually. Lust, anger and greed. Just like for example fever. Okay. If you ask a patient, is fever good or bad? Patient will say, no. Fever is bad. For doctor, fever is good. Because doctor knows if there is a fever, there is underlying disease. And if fever is going down, this means disease is going down. For doctor, fever is a good sign to judge the level of disease. For patient, it is bad. You see. So, what happens? What's the difference between patient and a doctor? Doctor has knowledge. If you have knowledge, the same enemy becomes your friend because it becomes a parameter to know what is happening. So lust, Krishna has purposefully put lust, anger and greed in us. Now you can say, okay, Krishna can just remove all lust, anger, greed, isn't it? Krishna can do that or not? He can do. So why is not doing? Why? Why is not removing lust, anger, greed from you? He wants to torture you or what? Or he wants to make you suffer? No, he is most merciful. He has purposefully kept lust, anger, greed in all of us, so that we come to know whether we are getting mercy of Krishna or not, whether we are balanced or not. If we are not balanced in chanting, reading and service, what will happen is, what will come in our mind? Lust, anger and greed. These three things will come. And if these three are coming in your mind, frustration, lust, anger, greed, all these things, this means your program is not balanced. Either you are doing less chanting, or you are doing less reading, or you are doing less service. Either in quantity or quality. That's how we judge. And the quantity and quality of chanting, reading, service, it varies for different people, isn't it? For me, half an hour reading will suffice. For somebody else, 1 hour reading. For somebody else, 5 minutes, 10 minutes reading will be suffice, isn't it? It depends. The amount of depth I get in 10 minutes, you might take 1 hour to get it. Isn't it? I might read 10 minutes and I will go very deep and understand things. For you, it might take 1 hour. It's different for different people, isn't it? Some people eat 4 chapatis, some people 5 chapatis, some people 10 chapatis. It depends. and then their stomach is full. So similarly, how much reading you have to do, how much service and how much chanting. Chanting, of course, 16 rounds we do minimum. But then should I chant 25 rounds? And should I read half an hour? Or should I chant 16 rounds and should I read 1 hour? You see, that's the point. That's the question. What is the program? So what's the program there? You got the point? You got the point? After this seminar, you will ask me, Prabhuji, okay, give me a schedule. How many hours should I read? I should read half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour. How many rounds should I chant? I chant 16 rounds, but should I chant 20 rounds daily? And how much service should I do? Should I go and do 1 hour service, 2 hour service, 3 hour service? How do you make a chart? That's a question. But my answer will be, it's different for different people. So I will tell you, you make your own chart. And then you will ask me, how should I make my own chart? Then I will answer you, well, you make a chart and see if following the chart, your mind is not bewildered by lust, anger, greed and frustration, then this means your chart is good for you. You see the point there? And the next, can you press? And if your chart is good, if you are balanced, then you will have taste in all the limbs. If you're balanced, then your chanting you'll also get taste, reading also will get taste, and service also you will get lot of. If you're not balanced, then what will happen is you will find taste in kirtan but no taste in chanting. Or sometimes you will find taste in chanting, no taste in reading. You see the point? This means your program is not balanced. It is not balanced for you. If it is balanced, you will find taste in all of them. Do you understand? Is it clear? That's how you have to balance the program. So you have to see for yourself. You see for yourself. And then if it is balanced, when you chant, it will be so blissful. When you read, it will be so blissful. When you serve, it's so blissful. Your mind will not be frustrated, no lust, no anger. This means your program is balanced. Keep on doing that. Bas. Keep on doing that. So you have to figure out yourself, isn't it? How many chapatis should I read, Prabhu? See for yourself. See, you should not be eating too much. You should not be eating too less. See for yourself. And when you figure out, keep on doing that. Similarly, this is how you know you have mercy of God. When you some people ask, Prabhu, how do I know I have mercy of Krishna? You know by these two symptoms. When your mind is not disturbed by lust, anger and greed, and when you get taste in chanting, reading and service, all the three, then you get mercy of. Then this means you have got mercy of Krishna. If suppose you say, Prabhu, I get a lot of taste in chanting but no taste in reading, then you have mercy? Yes or no? You can't say no also because he's getting chanting and taste in chanting. But you can't say yes also because it's not true mercy. It is something like shadow of mercy. Some mercy but not real mercy. You got the point? Some shadow of mercy you are getting but not the real mercy. If you get real mercy of Krishna, you will get taste in all limbs. Taste in chanting, reading and service, all the three. Are you clear, all of you? It's clear or not? Okay, now the question is, what are some practical tips so that we can balance reading, chanting and service? Are there some practical tips so that we can balance it? This is something I didn't say press. What is this? So this is something, these are something subjective symptoms, isn't it? Subjective things within you that you balance. But then how to balance? Are there some practical tips so that you can work on to balance in your daily life? So now I'm going to skip next slide. I'm going to give some practical tips how to balance between chanting, reading and service. Now you can apply this in your life. Please do this. And I'm sure most of you will not be doing either of this. I'm sure what I'll tell you will not be, I'm sure you'll not be able, you're not doing that. But you can start doing from tomorrow. Next slide. Okay, the first tip is, next slide. Keep the service pure. That's the first tip. And I'll explain this, what's that. But Prabhupada says this is one of the Was that? I can't even read here. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 7.9.1. This is a lecture from 1976. Prabhupada says, very cautiously and intelligently we have to make progress in spiritual life. Now mark the two words, cautiously and intelligently. Don't take it very insignificantly. We should be very, very much careful. Otherwise there is fall down. Once fall down means a gap of millions of years. If once you lose Krishna consciousness, after millions of lives you will come back again to this Seattle temple. If you come back. No, you don't know. You have got this human form of life to complete Krishna consciousness, but if you are not serious, then again there will be a gap of millions of years. The idea is, there are two concepts. You see the cautiously and intelligently, two words? So why Prabhupada says, when you are doing any service, be cautious. You have to be cautious of what? Be cautious of what? Huh?
Of what you're doing. Not losing.
No, be cautious of offenses. Isn't it? And you have to be intelligent. Intelligent for what? Intelligent to understand what you are doing. I told that. Just don't do mechanically. Understand what you are doing. For example, we all come for Mangal Aarti. We are supposed to do Mangal Aarti. But why we do Mangal Aarti? Can we tell? Intelligently you have to do things. Now the question is, why should we do Mangal Aarti? Why do we do that? Can we tell? Why do we do Mangal Aarti? Because Guru has said? That's blind faith. Because Prabhupada has said? Well, Prabhupada has said. But if you say, because Prabhupada said, that's why I'm doing. That is blind faith in one sense, because then somebody else will say, my Guru has said this. People say, no. ठीक है, तुम्हारे गुरु ने ऐसा कहा, हमारे गुरु ने ऐसा कहा. Then it's all the same blind faith. No, we have to understand why Prabhupada is saying this. So why do we come for Mangal Aarti? Can anybody tell? Why do we come for Mangal Aarti? Quick. To have darshan? No.
Start our day. To please Krishna.
Please Krishna. No, any specific concept this is? Huh? Okay, that's one thing. We come up, So we do Mangal Aarti because Krishna wakes up at that time. So we should be waking up before him because we are servant. Servant cannot wake up after the master. What kind of servant he is? Your master is sleeping and then master comes and wake you up. Get up. What's happening? It's crazy. Then you are not servant. And the whole foundation of Krishna consciousness is lost. Because the foundation of Krishna consciousness, we are servants of Krishna. And you have begun the day by destroying that foundation. It makes no sense. That's why we come for Mangal Aarti. You see the point there? Because Krishna likes us to see us in the morning. Just like a teacher likes to see students in the class, isn't it? Teacher will say, where is that student? He is not there. So Krishna likes to see. So that's why we do Mangal Aarti daily, either in temple or in house, whatever. But you have to be present in front of Krishna at that time. At that time, Krishna wakes up that time in Brahmurat time. So you see the point? So intelligently means you should know why you are doing. So there are two concepts, purity in Krishna consciousness and pure Krishna consciousness. So purity, you maintain purity in Krishna consciousness by being cautious of offenses. And you do pure Krishna consciousness by understanding why you are doing what you are doing. That's the two concepts you have to keep in mind. Purity in Krishna consciousness and pure Krishna consciousness. Pure means with proper understanding. Purity means without offenses. Got the point? So next slide. This is something, okay. Now, what to do of reading? We don't have time for reading? Okay, one practical tip is, take vows. That's a very nice thing. So one thing you can do is, you can link your reading with prasadam. with eating or sleeping, because the most interesting activity for all of us is eating and sleeping. You agree with me or not, but this is like this. You can say chanting, but it's not chanting. Let us be true to ourselves. Satyam. We have to follow Satyam. Tapa, Saucham, what's that? Four pillars of religion. Satyam, Saucham, Tapa and Daya. The 4 pillars. One is Satyam, Satya. We should also all be truthful, and this is the truth. If we see our soul, we will find eating, sleeping and mating, that's the most interesting thing for us. Now, we are trying to make chanting interesting. That is practice of devotion, but it's not, isn't it? So if you link anything with eating and sleeping, then your mind will force you to do. Like for example, you can say, okay fine, evening prasadam I will take after reading half an hour. So you come from your office. First of all, when you come from your office, don't eat immediately. Seriously. Because you will be a lot of hunger, isn't it? And then suddenly you come and jump on food and eat it. And that will destroy your health, by the way. Because according to Ayurveda, if you are hungry and if you are tired, we are both not at that time, then the rule is don't eat. First, don't deal with hunger, deal with tiredness. Because you are hungry and tired and you put food and the body needs energy to digest it, and you are already exhausted, and on the top you have put food and that needs more energy, you are making body more tired, and that whole food will become toxin. So we should not eat. And that is why you see in previous Vedic times what they used to do. Vedic times, when people used to come from work, they first used to take bath. You saw that? I saw among my grandfather and all those things. And especially in South India, in traditional villages you go, they used to have a well outside. They even didn't used to enter the house. Outside well, they'll take bath, they'll fresh clothes, and then they will. This was like that. First bath, always. From work, anybody used to come. Am I right or not? Why? Because bathing will remove your tiredness. But the point is, in this culture of AC, you don't even come to know whether you are really tired or not. It's confusing. Body is tired, but then there is a false thing that everything is nice, and so mind gets confused. But anyway, the point is, anyway, we are tired. So handle tiredness. So the idea is, either you take a bath or don't eat immediately. Come, have some lime juice, some liquid, take rest and read for half an hour. After lime juice, your hunger will reduce, and read for half an hour and then eat. So take a vow, after coming from office, I will not eat before reading for half an hour. You can tell your wife and children, okay, I need half an hour, give me half an hour. Go in room, lock, read, come back, and then okay, then you talk and whatever you want to do and eat. So that then it will be good. Or you can link with sleeping. You take a vow, okay, before sleeping I will read half an hour Krishna book. For example, Prabhupada says before sleeping you should read Krishna book. Or I will not sleep. If I don't read, I will not sleep. So that you can do. Or you can take a vow, if I don't read half an hour daily, the next day I will skip breakfast. How about that? That's interesting. If you do one day, I'm sure from next day you will be reading half an hour. 100%. 100%. Because your food is gone and your mind will not tolerate that if you skip your food. And that's how we take vows. That's why I wrote no food. No food, don't take food. If you after coming from office, if you are unable to read for half an hour, don't take dinner. Okay. I have taken a vow. Or next day breakfast I skip. Fine. This is called tapasya. You have heard this term? You remember tapasya? You remember? Or you forgotten? Tapa. People have forgotten. In Krishna consciousness, people have forgotten this word, tapa, tapasya. Because this movement is chant and be happy and eat prasadam. that's, of course, the movement is about that. But there's a role of all these things. If you want to deal with mind, there's only one solution, tapasya. This mind will not surrender. Don't be in delusion the mind will surrender to you. It will never do that. It will never do that. So this some examples I am giving. Take your own vow, but take a vow and then you will start reading. Otherwise it will never happen. Without vow, you might think, okay, tomorrow I'll start reading half an hour, and then 1 month you will do, then it will get finished. Take a vow and then it will happen. That's a very nice thing. Okay, next slide. And you can also do something. You should also plan your services. If you don't plan your services, then your chanting, reading and service will not be balanced. Prabhupada says, in our mental activities, we should always try to think of Krishna and try to plan how to please him. Planning is necessary. Otherwise, what will happen? You will keep on doing service will never end. And then you will have no time for chanting and reading, isn't it? It happens, no? It happens, no? You give me this, Prabhu, this, I have this service. It's the same thing with emails or your internet thing or your Facebook or WhatsApp. You keep on answering, it will never end. More WhatsApp will come, more Facebook, more mails. It's never going to end. So you have to plan. And what do you have to plan? You have to plan how much service you should do daily. What is your short-term service? What is your long-term service? How much time you have to be doing? Make a diary. Write in that. And then it will be cool. Then you can do slowly and keep on doing, and you can then balance reading and chanting. Otherwise, you see managers, management will never end. Am I right? And that's where managers, they fall down. Many of the managers, they fall down. And they have a tough time in Krishna consciousness. Why? Because they have management. You have to do management, but you have to put a stop there somewhere, no? But then where to put a stop? That's why expert managers, they plan. They plan 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, then they know exactly when to do, what to do. So they can stop at the particular time and they can do other. People who don't plan, then they fall down. Got the point? So everybody at a certain level, we are all managers and leaders. Isn't it? So maybe you are doing Friday, Saturday programs, that level you are managing. And then you have to come to temple, do some services, plan it. Okay, next slide. Plan also your chanting. Please plan your chanting, especially before any festival or major book distribution or heavy services. Now you know tomorrow is Janmashtami. Suppose, then Janmashtami, whole day you have to serve. Then you will skip chanting. Or maybe tomorrow you have Anand Mela. Anand Mela? Okay. And you don't plan about chanting, then your whole day you are in that Mela and you are cooking, and then Prabhu what? Then in the night, Prabhu, what happened to chanting? Prabhu, no chanting. Today's Anand. No chanting. Then what? That's crazy. So you plan beforehand. You plan. So you plan, okay, tomorrow is Anand Mela, I have to be busy in services. So tomorrow I'll get up at 3 o'clock, 3:30 to 5:30 I'll finish my rounds. And then I will, you see the point? Something you have to plan. Otherwise you miss. So all this, and also plan your chanting prior to any travel. You're traveling somewhere, going to India, somewhere traveling. So traveling, you have to plan, okay, this time is my flight, this time I have to plan. So by this time I have to finish my chanting, or after flight I'll finish my chanting. Otherwise, nothing will happen. You might think, okay, while traveling I might chant. That also you can do. But some kind of planning has to be there. Otherwise you'll get sucked up in planning. Then you'll become tired, sleep, and then chanting. Quality will be very bad. I'm not just talking about finishing chanting. Talking about quality also. So you have to plan accordingly. You see, you have to keep in mind. You have to see. And that is why in scriptures it is said, a person who is not Durdarshi, he will be destroyed. Durdarshi, you know Durdarshi? What do we say Durdarshi in English? Yeah, far-sighted. Person who is not far-sighted, he will be destroyed. I'm not asking you to be far-sighted. I'm asking you to just think about next day. That's all. At least. at least think of next day. And especially in case of relatives, now you know, okay, day after tomorrow my chacha is coming, or mommy is coming from India for 4 days. You know relatives when they come, what happens in house. It's chaos. You don't have time, it's talking. So you know after 4 days they are coming. So then you have to plan, now they are coming. So at what time will I be chanting? So whole day I have to take them for tour, or I have to be with them. So okay, then in that case 4 days I have to get up early in the morning, finish my chanting, so that I can spend time with them. You have to spend time with them. They are coming from so far. So something you have to figure out, but you have to plan. So please keep in mind, plan your chanting. And then next is plan also your, the next slide, plan also your, it's so slow, what's happening? Okay, every Ekadashi, resume and revise your plans. Whatever plans you have made, revise them and resume them. Ekadashi is not day to fast. Ekadashi is not just day to fast, or maybe to eat kutu pakoda and all these things. It's nonsense. You are wasting your Ekadashi. That's not Ekadashi. That Hindus do. We are not Hindus. क्योंकि वो कुछ खा लिया इधर उधर बस बैठ गए. No. Ekadashi is a day to make plans and revise your plans. Ekadashi is the day for accounting. वो क्या कहते हैं? So every March you have that, no? What's that called? A financial year. They call financial year, no? You have to submit. Company has to submit. So every Ekadashi is your financial accounting for 15 days. What you have been doing in 15 days? Make a chart, progress chart. Okay, last 15 days, what I have done. What was the quality of my chanting? What was the quality of my reading? How much I did service? Was I balanced or not? How you have to change, balance little bit, maybe more reading, more service. Make a chart. And this is advised by Bhaktivedanta Thakur. This is, I am not saying. It's advised by Bhaktivedanta. Bhaktivedanta Thakur used to do that. He advised every Ekadashi is a day to revise your plans. So for this, so nobody does that, no? Isn't it? Generally people do 25 rounds. Generally, but and then they eat prasad and chalo ho gaya. No, we are missing the whole. That's not Gaudiya Vaishnava style. That is Hindu style. Gaudiya Vaishnava style is this. Okay. Yeah, next. And please keep a diary. Keep a diary. Write your faults and drawbacks and possible solutions. That's how you balance things. Write your faults in chanting, write your faults in service, write your faults in reading, some drawbacks and some possible solutions which you will apply in your life to correct it. If you're not able to read for half an hour daily, then you write. I'm not able to do that. What's the solution? And if you're not able to figure out, ask some senior. But you have to have some solution. Otherwise, you will leave it unfinished. Isn't it? So please keep a diary. It's a very powerful habit. Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Prabhupada, all had diaries. You know that, no? They all used to keep diaries and write every day. All great people in the history of this world, they had a diary. All great people, they had this habit. Because without keeping a diary, you will never know whether you are advancing, not advancing, what are your faults, what is the solution. You never even thought how to come over solution. Isn't it? We just sometimes, so first of all, we don't even know what are our faults. Even if we are able to mark our faults, we don't think of solutions. We keep on weeping, Prabhu, ye problem hai, ye problem, ye problem, ye problem. Solution kya hai? Try to figure out. Write it down. So please keep a diary. That's a very good thing. And the next slide is the last slide, and do Mangalarti. That's the most important thing of all instructions. This is said by Prabhupada. One devotee asked Prabhupada, when can we miss Mangalarti? You know what Prabhupada says? When you're dead. That's all. This is from a letter to Giriraj Maharaj. Prabhupada says, all men who live in devotee rooms must attend Mangalarti or starve. Prabhupada says, anybody who doesn't attend Mangalarti, don't give them prasad. Prabhupada was so strict. Prabhupada says, please institute the most important points of attending Mangal Arati and chanting 16 rounds. These are the most important points of Krishna consciousness. You see, Prabhupada also includes Mangal Arati in that. He doesn't say chanting 16 rounds. You know why I'm stressing on this? Because if you do Mangal Arati, then whole day is automatically balanced. If you get up Mangal Arati means you don't need to come to temple. If you come, that's nice. You can do in your home if your home is far off. But Mangal Arati means at least you should be getting up before sunrise. At least. And do Arati of Krishna. Maybe small. Maybe lamp and incense and flower. That's all. Small Arati you can also do. Or at least sing Samsara Dava. That for to Krishna. Yeah. At least before sunrise. The best is if you can do Aarti half an hour before sunrise. Half an hour means actually ideal is 48 minutes before sunrise. 48 minutes before sunrise. That is the time of Mangal Aarti. 48 minutes. So do that, and you see automatically your schedule is done. And suppose if you have to go to office. Now you might say, if I get up early, if I have to do 48 minutes before sunrise, then this means I have to get up 40 minutes even before that to take bath, isn't it? And then I'll become tired in office. That happens, no? No problem. You do Mangal Aarti and chant some rounds and take some rest afterwards. Half an hour nap. You got my point? And then you can go to your office. Many devotees do that. Then you come even fresh and you can go to your office. That's okay. So missing Mangal Aarti is an offense. You know that? It's direct instructions of Prabhupada. You can't afford to do it. Okay, so here I'll finish, but let me ask you a question. What is more dangerous, offense or sin? What is the difference between offense and a sin? No. Sin is those activities which you do against ordinary people. Offense are those same activities when you do in relationship to God and devotees. Suppose you beat an ordinary man, that's a sin. But if you beat a devotee, that's an offense. The same thing if you do in relationship to God and devotees, that's offense. So you can do sins, but don't do offense. Because sins can be destroyed by chanting. Of course, I'm not advising you to do sins, but offense you should not. Offense will block your devotion. So suppose if you don't get up for Mangal Aarti, suppose you say, okay, I'm tired from office, tomorrow I'll miss Mangal Aarti. Okay, so what happens? You miss Mangal Aarti, you're sleeping and you get up after sunrise. Then what happens? You did offense. You also did a sin. Because to sleep at the time of Brahm Muhurat, that is sin, according to Dharma Shastras. That is Papa. To sleep 48 minutes before sunrise in that period, that is a sin. So you do both, offense and sin. Okay, so instead of that you decide, okay, I am very tired, but nevertheless I will get up in the morning, I will do Mangal Aarti and then I will sleep. After doing Mangal Aarti, I will sleep. So what do you do now? Now you are not doing offense, but you are doing sin you are doing, but you are not doing offense. So it's little better situation. If not doing Mangal Aarti is sin, offense, sleeping at that time is sin. So okay, you choose sin than offense. You see the point? We have to choose offense. No, sin, okay, fine. It can be countered later, can be understood. So you see the point? The best thing is you get up late in the night, do Mangal Aarti. Then that 48 minutes before sunrise, that period, somehow chant, do something, don't sleep. Go in the park, chant some rounds, come back after sunrise, take a nap. So then you avoid offense and you do avoid sin, you get your sleep also, and everything is done. So that's something intelligence. So yeah, please do Mangal Aarti. It's very important. Many devotees all around the world, they don't do that, especially householders. How many of you do? You do? Daily? Okay, you come here or house. Okay, good. Yeah, many devotees all around the world, they even don't know how to sing Samsara Dava. You know what is Samsara Dava? You're sure? Samsara Dava Nalalita Loka. It's some song, written thousands of years back, and I think we have forgotten that. Many devotees don't know. Frankly, I'm telling. I ask them to sing, they don't remember. You remember Samsara Dava fully, or you have to see a book? Many devotees don't remember. It's a pathetic situation. No. At least that thing should be pakka. It's instructions of Prabhupada, and then you see change in your life, I tell you. So please do that. This is one formula, everything will be balanced. One formula, one advice for balancing everything in your life. Mangalarti. So try to do that. I have given you some tips how to do it. You can sleep, you can avoid it, you can do something. If you try to do, Krishna will give you some intelligence. And the next slide, and here I'll finish. It takes time. So this is about reading, chanting, and service. And that's why Srila Prabhupada says in one of his letters, I've given you all guidance and hints, and it is described all in my books. Now it is up to you to please keep up our principles firmly, and everything will come out successful. Prabhupada has given all hints. Whatever I have told you, it's from Prabhupada's books. I was quoting letters, I was quoting conversations, lectures. It's all there. If you read Prabhupada's books nicely and apply them, success is 100% guaranteed. And thank you very much, Hare Krishna, for giving so much time of yours. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay.